Hello, everybody. We are here today with another episode of Skytear Sunday, and this is a special Mother's Day edition. And I'm here today with my good friend Mataias. Mataias, how are you doing?
Good. I'm happy to see, we packed the stream full of mothers. It's everybody watching, I have to assume. It's the only way this makes any sense. And I'm excited to see some Skytear today.
Now, I have a question for you. What makes this edition of Mother's Day different than a normal edition of Skytear Sunday?
Well, I think for starters, we're really going to be taking it with the utmost respect to people who, brought us up, raised us into this world, gave us the valuable lessons that we've then transferred into pure art of playing this strange tabletop mobile card game. And I think that's the most respectful thing we can do with our efforts here.
Yeah. Also, it's Mother's Day. that is what makes this edition special. It's on Mother's Day. All right. So today, our king, Pythoner, going for his third win, tying Giacomo's record, who he took down himself. But our challenger today will be Tapeworm, trying to not let that happen. Tapeworm, the rules guru.
And when you know, Kirito, it sounds like you're hard to hear over your own music.
That's because I have to go over here to do that. I have to switch the screen for that. Forgot about that part. But yes. So hopefully that should fix it. Sorry about that. I forgot to switch scenes. Anyway, hopefully that sounds better now. So yeah, Pythoner today, as voted on by the community, will be forced to use Neliklin. At the same time, he is not allowed to use Kotlik and Zakol because a couple weeks ago, Giacomo killed those heroes. So up on the screen now, you will see Pythoner's deck list here. All the way on the left, you will see the Neliklin he is forced to use. And then you will also see the growing in popularity Ixatosk and Yami, as well as the Miyuki that I've tested with Pythoner a lot, and I know he is a huge fan of both Miyuki and Kichi. He does not play red all that often, but I do know he loves those heroes. And then we see Hokusai as well, with, of course, the copies of Rampant Hatred.
I mean, you think he was going to bring Neliklin and not have him slid in there somewhere. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Of course not. But he does have will be guaranteed 3 copies of Presence, 3 copies of Redirect, and 3 copies of Single, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can take a look here at Tapeworm's deck list. We will see that both players have a copy of Miyuki, at least somewhere in their list. And other than that, he is going all yellow. Now you will
as well as the Shalabi tossed in there as well, which I think is an interesting little tech he's got there.
Yes. I wonder. No Skytear discharge. I was gonna say I wonder if we'll see a little bit of the Shilvi Kenwi thing that we've seen little pieces of here and there, but there's no discharge, so I'm not going to be seeing that probably. I should mention you'll see 3 spots for Miyuki where there is no cards. That is because we will be getting a spoiled card. We do not know the card yet, but Miyuki has it, which I am assuming also means that Tapeworm is definitely bringing Miyuki. Otherwise, we won't see the card. That wouldn't make sense. Now, if you guys want to pull up these deck lists by yourself during the game, you can find those deck lists in the description. Now we are going to head over into the game. Now, if you want to go flip over that middle victory condition, we could talk about our a victory condition we are having spoiled today.
Sure. So our victory condition we have today is outflank, which is to win the lead of the control token number 2 3 times. So that's going to be Tapeworm's left lane, Pythoner's right, and wow, that's
That is
my first time seeing it as
interesting.
well here. That's definitely going to give a bit of an edge to whoever has to normally perhaps take the worst lane in a breach situation there.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting if we have one or two of the breach conditions as well.
Mm-hmm.
That think that's a really cool victory condition because I feel like whenever you see like breach conditions or even in control games, the control zone 1 becomes so much more important, and the
Mm-hmm.
existence of outflank really changes a lot of things.
Yeah, I can especially see it. Just the fact that you don't have to destroy a tower either. It's just taking control means that you don't have to put like maybe as hard of an investment onto making those really big pushes onto it, but also it means it's going to be far more grindier since if there isn't those breach conditions that open up the other lane, then your opponent is fighting for Nexus to try and beat that out.
Yep. And I see Eric in the chat. I have a question for Eric about this victory condition. Or if anyone else knows. Is this a victory condition that we'll be seeing on both maps or just 2 lane? I believe it's both maps, but I'm not positive.
Interesting.
But yeah, also notably, it's 3 times, which is the same as Skytear Master. So if we have this and Skytear Master, they both could trigger the same round. However, number 2 happens before number 3, so this does actually trigger before Skytear Master.
Yes.
All right, so if we want to flip over the other 2 victory conditions, we can then the other players can go get started here with the draft.
And we have blood as our other 2 options here.
Blood,
With
blood, blood.
onslaught and hunting for power. So it'll be interesting to see how our new victory condition here, outflank, comes to impact that. Though the blood can be easily diminished in this looking like double Miyuki potentially game here.
And Tapeworm won the coin toss and chose to bring his outsider, the Terror of the Endless Night.
And it looks like Pythoner has chosen to go first. Or has chosen to go second. My apologies.
Has he chosen?
I don't know. I'm assuming from
Has he
the
chosen?
position of
It
the
is.
player. Oh, but maybe not.
He's still thinking. He has not decided yet.
And so we do have Clinton in the chat saying, all I have to assume that is in response to where outflank would be present. Or
Yeah,
at least, honestly, I kind of hope so. I think that'd be especially interesting for a 3-lane game.
Yeah, but Eric then mentioned that that would be the exact same as Skytear Master on Ashen Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of true.
Yeah, I can risk that possibility of having essentially 2 of the exact same victory condition on the board, which I can see being kind of a bummer.
I agree with that, Clinton. I think it was designed before the single dome on Ashen. So my guess is it was originally designed to be used on all maps, but I think that was a good point by Eric there. Maybe it will only be, maybe it won't be on Ashen just because that's a little bit redundant.
Mm-hmm. And we do have Pythoner opting to go first here and immediately drafting his Nelliclin. Showing the hand he's required to have makes a lot of sense.
One other quick point. Forgot to mention it to the players beforehand, but I'm assuming they're aware of it. But Tapeworm will have 1 copy of the spoiled card, or the card that will be spoiled, in his opening hand. Guaranteed. I'm assuming the players are aware of that because we forgot to mention that. So if we don't see them do that, we can let them know. But otherwise, it shouldn't be an issue.
Right, so Tape now responding with his picks, starting with the Habarat and then leading into his Miyuki. So we see the first one drafted, leaning a little bit towards lane 1 here.
That's lane 2. Hob in lane 2.
I was talking about the Miyuki.
Oh, yes. Miyuki is leaning a little more towards lane 1. Hobrat's more towards lane 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'll
If
be
we do end up
interesting.
seeing both of them, I'll be curious to see how the yellow heavy list that Tape has here will compete in terms of laying those marks down, or if it's just going to be Yami singling out one target to really shut down every round.
Yeah. We see his Miyuki, Tape's Miyuki does have 3 copies of Migraine, 3 copies of Exhaustion. So he might be planning to take advantage of. Oh, and does not have Ekrit if he brings Ekrit with 3 copies of Snowblind, so he might be trying to couple some disarms with Miyuki. Pythoner, you see, also has 3 copies of Exhaustion. I don't see the Migraines though, and no Snowblinds or anything, so a little bit less of a ability to
We
disarm.
does have some Crawling Darknesses sitting on Hoga's side.
Yes.
So his use might be a little bit lower in when the enemy team already has this Habarat with 0 armor. We see Shalavi or Sethru coming in. I can see Habarat's value going down quite a bit.
Yeah,
Or
that is
Hoga's
true.
value.
So we
And
see
the
Pythoner
Yami
drafting a Yami. I don't think that should be a surprise.
Now the question is whether or not he brings in the Ixatos.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. If he brings Ixatos, that kind of shows a little bit of that he might be focusing a little bit more towards outflank, and if he goes more with the Hokusai Kichi route, then maybe he's focusing more towards onslaught / hunting for power.
I will say with this setup, I do really love that combo for this map. Granted, I've been running it almost every single game, but the ability to free up Yami's turn and kind of let her go all in on some of her more aggressive plays sometimes, or being able to save her attack for enemy heroes, means that Ixatos can really help her control this lane without having to fully dedicate to putting Yami's move and attack on clearing the 2 minions.
For sure, and it also, even if he does bring Ixatos, it could be more of a defensive play for outflank, and he could then plan to go with something like with Nelaklin, Yami, and Hokusai or something like that to focus more on the damage. So he could still go for you can't win if you lose.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so we do
Here it
see
is.
the Ixatos, it looks like. Bring it to the outside. So he's most likely going to be looking pretty hard for Dreams on his first activation here. If he can get that Ixatos set off and clear out those 2 minions right off the bat, that'll be a great start for him, especially getting Ixatos and Yami into pretty safe positions in those outer bushes off of that play.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Nelaklin is not the kind of hero you usually want to go with early, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up doing something like that, where he goes with Nelaklin early to kind of get pillars out a little bit out there, even though it does kind of expose him.
I mean, it's definitely happened in the games where I'll go in with the Ixatos Yami and be hard mulliganing to try and get Dreams. But if I can't hit it, then yeah, having someone like Nelaklin go sometimes just has to happen.
And we do see the Shillavi and Sethru come down for Tapeworm, and the Kichi come down for Pythoner. And the positioning is very symmetrical here. So we're seeing a huge inclination towards lane 2. Not really sure why. Can't imagine. Certainly not because of this victory condition.
It's a nice little line of scrimmage they've got here set up. I'm curious to see how this Miyuki and Nelaklin especially respond here, as I think they might be positioned to sit somewhere in the dome or something at the start of their influence, but they both have that same risk of not wanting to be blown up super early.
Yeah, for sure. Shillavi is in a good position where she can blow up 2 minions round 1 as well. I have a feeling both. I have a feeling these these minions are not long in lane 2 are not long for this world.
Mm-hmm. And so, with the interest of these two kind of high damage uh, lineups that we have here with the onslaught on the table, we do know that Pythoner with his lineup here is going to be packing a 1.38 modifier compared to Tapeworm's um, 1.46, so a little bit higher on his edge, as well as having the stronger base attack values on characters like Shalavi and Habarat. So I'm curious to see how Pythoner positions around this, knowing he might have a little bit less help on the damage. And starting with Nellican, it looks like he might not have a dreams, but
I wasn't sure if they put that card in Tape's hand or not, so I just figured I would just put it in the chat just in case.
mm-hmm.
All right. So we saw the Nelliclin go forward with an attack.
Clear Minion is not the person I'd expect to be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, what else is Nelliclin doing? Leading?
Move attacks. I have to assume he's going to worship here, but maybe he needs to lead right off the bat with the Nelliclin. That's a spooky situation.
Yaxi, Yamataxi, Yamaxi, Ixyam. You guys will figure it out.
Also, I do love that outflank. Does kind of I agree with Eric there on this outflank being like the lane version of a dome brawl. It'll
Yeah.
be fun to see how that works out now. When we have cover involved, like you don't get in the dome, and a little bit more space to work with. Seems like a really interesting dynamic. And minion placement gets a lot more valuable in that situation too.
Yeah, that is true. No Miyuki for Pythoners, so we won't be with no Miyuki mirror here.
And so he does set up that pillar, lining it up for his Ishitask here. Curious to see if Tapeworm maybe tries to destroy that pillar on his activation here and shut down that potential combo, seeing as if he had the dreams, he likely would have started with it,
Yeah.
just
The
so that
thing
he wouldn't
is,
give his opponent a chance to respond.
Sether is the only hero that can get to it with a single action.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that he didn't put that pillar in the cover hex, just to protect it a little bit more.
So that position, actually, yeah, with only one enemy minion, I don't exactly see the reason why. Unless he just maybe wants it more forward for a later turn, considering he's only got one minion left to kill.
Yep. And then we see Shillavi worshipping and blowing up both minions. It's possible he's throwing that pillar out there as a little bit of bait, and he's actually has like a stone barricade or something with a Nelliclin that he's planning on using to worship and like right on the edge there, so it can go in or out of the dome.
And so now both teams having almost all of their minions here cleared out. I'm waiting to see who's going to leave this first strike here. And yeah, the Miyuki, I think, is going to be kind of key to see her move in the dome here. How she fares and how much investment Pythoner might be willing to put in and burn her down. Especially seeing as she's the only red hero. If she chooses to mark someone else early, then someone like Kichi or Yami can be free to jump on her.
Yeah, be interesting to see what they do. I am curious what you guys end up coming up with the name for this combo. No, Eric, no one's gonna kill a minion in lane 1. That's overrated. This break here is what we call a lane brawl. Forget dome brawls. This is Skytear Master in the lane.
I mean, if there was anyone who was gonna do it, it was probably gonna be that Nelliclin who was able to get into the far lane and then to the dome if he wanted to double commit. But at this point, it seems like that opportunity is pretty much gone.
Yeah, Miyuki could do it.
Yeah, I just don't think she wants to waste her worship on turn 1. And positioning his Yami out a little bit forward. Maybe he's going for the slow here with his Ishitas? No, it wouldn't be in range for Pillar. So just taking an attack on Shillaby and probably following with a lead here.
Yep. Probably. A lead would make sense. I don't know what else Ishitas would do here.
He can go in for a heavy skirmish onto Shillaby and abandon his protecting position on his Yami. Or get himself in front of Nelliclin would also be a decent solution if he's worried about potentially Habarat jumping onto Nelliclin.
Yep. All right. So, what do you think Tapeworm does here? Also, do we have any predictions on this game? A little bit late to ask that.
I think likely seeing Tapeworm here. I would hope to see the Miyuki step out here with Yami getting her kind of best damage onto Shillaby or Setharu and Habarat. Miyuki can get in there and shut her down early or set that up for later. And taking that early dome win might be worth losing the potential round 1 control, I think, if you can really push that value of the terror. Especially getting kind of Shillaby right next to the cover hex here. You can apply the frenzy to her, or Habarat or Setharu, and get like a quick start to that damage ramp up. I do see him activating Miyuki and taking her into the dome here.
He's gonna worship to mark somebody. I'm assuming Nelliclin.
Getting the slow onto Ishitas.
Ishitas, interesting.
Not who I would expect.
Yeah, like does Ishitas care about being slow?
And taking the lead in the dome. So that is going to mean Pythoner gets a chance here to choose to respond and maybe force a double commitment, but he will have a pretty good lead on outflank in that case, assuming both of them have the 3s.
The only reason I can think of why he would choose Ishitas over Nelliclin is because of some sort of card, some new card that we're not aware of that he has in his hand that might be related to conditions. For some reason, I feel like the card might be related to conditions. Not really sure why.
That's an interesting call. I won't lie. Maybe it has something to do with Mark Heroes or something.
Yeah, could be related to Mark Heroes too. Yeah, so not really
I think I do agree with Eric here on the Onslaught being the most likely victory. Both of these teams are such high-powered kind of compositions in terms of damage, and with how easily these minions are going to be going down, kills are going to be what gets you the edge on outflank ultimately, and that's probably going to lead to an Onslaught faster.
Yep. What about hunting for power though?
That's a great point. Honestly, you might want to tie the dome just for hunting for power being off the table if you're already getting this damage lead like Pythoner is now.
That is very true. I think I would probably, though, lead a little bit more towards Onslaught here as well. And I think what, I think it was Eric said in the chat earlier. Yeah, Eric said it. I do agree with that. I think if Pythoner wins here, he will definitely not lose 3 heroes.
Interesting proposition. I think if Tape is really feeling himself on the ropes, he should go and take out these green heroes, and we'll serve up another one to Pythoner next week. Give him the same treatment again.
And we see Yami go with a worship, attack, and then skirmish on Sylvie, going back into the cover hex. Being a
Mhm.
little bit protected from that Sethru.
Also means Habarat doesn't have an ideal target here for going aggressive. His own Chillaby kind of blocking the path to Yami. And I have to assume that, or you have to, I guess, play around the potential of a stone barricade here if you try to go all in invested on landing that attack on Meliquin.
Yeah. I will say here, Pythoner has done a very good job with his positioning so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Kind of
I
keeping
was about
heroes out of harm's way.
I was about to say I think Sethru just goes after Ishita's and he holds off on Habarat to see what Kichi does.
Yeah, and that Ishita's positioning is not a bad spot to be in either. Kind of securing that slow for the next turn on Shillowing means she'll have a hard time reaching Meliquin as well if he chooses to activate him late.
For sure. And and Ishita's, being a tank, Sethru is the only one who can really get some damage into Kishi.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever Ishitas wants to be referred to as today.
So we do see Sethru going and moving himself up into this far brush and casting what looks like our new card here,
Oh.
Vendetta. The caster gets plus X attack, where X is twice the number of conditions on target enemy hero. And there we see why that Miyuki worship goes on to Ishitask.
Like I said, might be
Wow.
related to conditions for some reason.
Holy moly. So that's a +4 attack at a Sethru for 7 right off the bat. Wow.
7+.
That's incredible.
Uh, yeah. So, chat. I'll be
So
interested.
Miyuki just seems.
So, chat. I'm interested to hear your opinions on this card. And while we give chat a second to catch up to that, what are your thoughts on it? Whoop, wrong way.
Feel like almost every reveal that we're getting, I'm looking at her with more and more interest every time. Wow, that card is wild.
Yep. Yeah, that is very true, Eric. The Yami picture. That's a great picture of Yami.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Arctis expansion has been spectacular from the get-go.
Yeah.
That might be one of my favorite, honestly.
If RG is watching, I'm curious to hear what your opinions of that Yami artist.
I mean, so if you're playing any red deck, that card is likely to end up being at least equal to Brutal Precision. So you'll get kind of that equal value on that case with a much higher top end if you're bringing Miyuki or someone like Ishitask who can work with that Yami and put slows on people who are already marked. And that seems like a pretty good way to amp up the value of especially mages and assassins who just want the single big attack damage to come through.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that goes especially well with Miyuki, which we obviously saw right here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of these cards that we've seen, especially from the red faction, but even some of the other ones that are condition based, have really been making Miyuki very interesting for this next expansion. I fully expect Miyuki to become one of the most popular heroes um,
Mm-hmm.
after the next set is released, after the Breach is released.
And I think this card even has a place outside of dedicated red or Miyuki decks as like very specific blue hate, where if you
Mm-hmm.
have the way to just apply a single condition into them, that's going to amount to large amounts of damage racking up over time for these heroes.
Oh yeah, Clinton. Clinton loves this card with mages. I have no idea. No one would have expected that kind of reaction from Clinton, right?
Mm-hmm. The other interesting part is you don't even have to target the hero you're attacking. So you can, if you had the line of sight leading into this play, Miyuki can throw the mark onto someone who's uh, a valuable target to shut down, get the +4, and then still hit onto the tank like Ishitosk here.
Yeah, I mean the attack still has to target.
Yes, yes, but the spell itself doesn't have to target who you're hitting.
Yeah, I mean it's oh, it does say where excess twice the number of conditions on target enemy hero.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, I see. So you can put a bunch of conditions on one hero to get the bonus, and then attack a different hero.
Mm-hmm.
That is very true. I did not think about that. So you could have like a Brovar with like 4 conditions on him, and then attack, target Brovar with like a Haverat, and then declare an attack on like a Korjov,
Mm.
which might be a little bit better to do that attack on than a Brovar with a
And so we
non-mage.
did see Pythoner here activating his final hero with Kichi. Kind of being left a little bit in an awkward position with this double commitment evidenced by tape into the dome, meaning that I think he's just got to go all in and take the win for this round on outflank and
Yep.
probably pump more damage into Shillaby here. So he gets to throw out a worship.
Yeah, it looks like you're just gonna go for a little bit of a predict here.
Mm-hmm.
Marking Miyuki
Maybe
with
try
it. Not
to.
that the mark on Miyuki actually does anything here, because it's not in line of sight, so it doesn't make him predict anymore. But Shillavu was already marked, so might as well just get the
Mhm.
mark there for in case it ever becomes relevant somehow. And then we will see an attack here on to Shillavi. +2, so getting Shillavi all the way down to 3.
Mm-hmm. And we do have
Shattermind?
Ishitosk fairly low as well.
Do we see a Shattermind coming?
It
Nope.
doesn't look like it. He has the
He
activation.
he could have a Flux Nightmares Incarnate though that to use at the end of Habarat's turn.
Mm-hmm. And so now with Habarat taking his go and kind of I feel like if you recognize that outflank is maybe not on the table to win this round, and it doesn't actually matter how far that control token pushes when you just have to take it yourself. Maybe you just take Habarat into what is his most valuable position, or try and pump more damage onto Ishitosk.
Yeah. If Isertas does have a stone barricade that can, well, I guess depending on where Habarat goes, it could really just,
Slow things down really heavily. Yeah.
well, so depending on where Habarat goes, stone barricade from Neliklin or Ishitas can kind of prevent Neliklin or Kichi from really taking any damage.
And we do see the stone barricade right off the bat. So I think Habarat has to pivot here to putting the damage onto Kichi or Neliklin.
Oh, we're seeing it go on in response to the move. So I guess he's more worried about Ishitas than the
Ishitosk.
mages. Interesting. I would have,
Mm-hmm.
I would have, I would have thought that protecting the heroes made a bit more sense.
Yeah. So.
The mages, because even unless he's worried about a second copy of Vendetta.
Mm-hmm. That. I mean, so both of those are still on the table here. It only saves him a single action, and it looks like maybe we have a skirmish targeting Kichi here, with them pinging him. I can see how you probably don't want to invest Habarat's attacks onto Ishitas just because you know that 2 armor is in the way, and you
Yeah,
might want to just get it onto one of these more vulnerable heroes. And so declaring the attack on Neliklin, that makes sense,
yeah.
as he's
I would have thought you wait to the stone barricade. If Habarat moves over into the hex next to Shillavi, then Ishitas can use a stone barricade next in response to a skirmish to prevent Habarat from getting out to the mages. And then if
Mhm.
Habarat moves into, I guess if Habarat moved into the bush, he would be able to still
So we
get
do
over to
see a
Neliklin
flux.
or Kichi.
Maybe the Nightmares Incarnate comes out here, or the attack's already gone through, so it's not going to be a migraine. Should be the Nightmares Incarnate, I have to guess.
I would think so.
Or perhaps there might be a Doom waiting, but that wouldn't stop it since Yami can just cast it.
Or Nelaquin. No, not Nelaquin. Nelaquin's too far away.
Hmm. And so if we do see, looking into Python's list, I'm not sure how strong his I guess turn twos are here, with the major things coming online for him being Nightmares Incarnate and Redirect, and I guess Presence as well.
Presence is
Well,
pretty strong.
it's a oh, we do have the Doom coming out, so it's gonna stop Nelaquin from being able to cast. I'm curious what Nelaquin would have been going for here. Not entirely sure what that is stopping.
Yeah, but it looked like the Doom did pull out the quick shot, and yep, there comes the Nightmares Incarnate cast
Mm-hmm.
from Yami.
It's going to securely take this lane for Pythoner here and have Shiloh come back on round 3.
Yep,
So
and we get
having
that
the
first
hero
point on Onslaught.
advantage, crucially, that will be a point on Onslaught for Pythoner. That hero advantage is going to be huge going into this round. I feel like if Miyuki can't land her mark onto a valuable hero early on, then it's going to be a rough time for this squishy Habarat or Sateru trying to make their way in, especially meaning that Pythoner can probably just all in on this lane now.
Yeah. At the same time, though, he also does have presences in his deck, which can really help that. And Tape,
Mm-hmm.
all of his presences are on Egret, who he did not bring. That being said, Pythoner does have 2 heroes that have taken a pretty decent amount of damage, and
Mm-hmm.
Tape is going to get to activate the Terror here. So while he does have the while Python does have the hero advantage and the potential presence advantage, in terms of overall damage, I think I would probably give the edge to Tape here.
Hmm.
And we'll see how he's able to use the outsider here to kind of swing things back a little bit in his favor.
Mm-hmm. I think probably the more influential part going into this round is going to be the fact that Tape has disarms, while I believe Pythoner's deck, as it stands, has none at all. Meaning any damage that's coming his way, his only out is going to be redirect in this case. Leading with a 2 on Miyuki. He manages to secure that terror.
Yep. Good little small bluff there. And we saw Pythoner lead with From Below in the lane as well.
Mm-hmm.
So no Ishitas ultimate. I also have a feeling Ishitas might not be around on round 3 anyway for that ultimate. For some
So
reason.
we'll see the terror looking like probably going to get some damage and shut down one of these heroes here. Putting the attack on Nelaquin most likely, and then moving and disarming one of these other guys. I can
Yeah.
see actually not wanting to pull away Nelaquin, just since he's already in such a great position to be hit by Habarat, he's going to have to activate anyways. We do see him grab Kichi here and lay the attack, and he can get a double roar.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised on that position with that Kichi move. I would have thought that Kichi would have been over to the side of the Terror, so that way when he does this roar here, he could push Kichi over into lane 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that roar would still hit Nelaquin from that position and would still be able to push Nelaquin to that same hex that he did ultimately end up pushing Nelaquin.
Yeah, I think in the end it's probably kind of inconsequential. He might actually not want Kichi that close to the dome, since now even a skirmish doesn't get him in range of hitting Miyuki or Sateru. he has to invest 2 actions to get himself in there.
Yeah, although yes, that is true. However, from here he can already hit Habarat with an attack and a skirmish without even moving.
Yeah, but his influence won't be worth anything this round as well. I guess he can attack, skirmish, and then move to get into the dome. But
yeah, and even if he takes Habarat off the board with a lot of damage, then Habarat's influence also won't do anything.
true. I mean, I think in general we're gonna see them now hunting for heroes for this round.
we could also
Terror.
potentially see uh Pythoner put all of his heroes around that terror and try going after hunting for power.
Mhm.
But the terror is in a place where it could move away fairly easily. So
Yeah,
I
he can
imagine
get through
that
multiple white lines here.
yeah. So I imagine hunting for power is not going to be super easy to get here. The best he can do is maybe get a little bit of chip damage in.
Mhm. I think most likely Python is probably going to be opening with Assault onto Habra, and then it's going to be a matter of whether or not he takes heroes more aggressively into the dome or finds himself some defensive positioning with them.
Yeah, I think he's gonna keep kind of. I think he's gonna mostly play a little bit of a safe game and just keep trying to push for that outflank while at the same time go after heroes whenever he has an opportunity. Kind of go after onslaught and outflank a little bit at the same time, but mostly playing passively. I feel like he kind of feels like he's a little bit ahead at the moment, so he doesn't want to lose his advantage.
Yeah, so I mean, having that win, he has to, or he forces Tape here to kind of take initiative and make the move, since provided he continues to maintain his influence in the lane, he doesn't have to actually do anything um, to force Tape to make kind of more aggressive and vulnerable plays. We do see a little bit more damage coming onto Habarat with a skirmish and attack on a Neliclin.
What would be interesting here
And
would be if Nelliclin goes with like a presence and a lead here in range of nothing but adjacent to an Ishitask.
oh yeah,
That would be interesting, but
you do
With Nelliclin at 5 and Ishitask at 8, that's probably not likely.
yeah, you leave Ishitask in a position to potentially just die.
And Nelliclin in a position to potentially die. Yeah, that's the other thing with the presence. He only has 2 heroes that can cast it, and both of those heroes are the ones that he probably doesn't want to be using a presence with right now.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe if he can draw some focus from them. These stone barricades are in a decent position right now to be potential redirect targets. Or sorry, the pillars. Pretty much
That
no
is true.
matter where Habarat goes, he's going to run into that issue. The same with Sitair and Miyuki.
Yeah, that is a very good point. One thing also about the hero advantage we were talking about before, with Pythoner being the first player, he gets the first and the last activation this round, so he can kind of see where
Mm-hmm.
Tapeworm goes and go after. So he basically gets the advantage of being both the first player and the second player at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And so it's looking like Tape is activating Sitair here. Maybe going to put some damage onto Ishtas since he is currently not redirectable. He's the mage to take him out.
Just want to make sure here nobody has said anything in chat in a little while. Is chat still working?
I'm seeing nothing in there recently either. Don't worry.
Okay, is chat still working or are you guys just quiet? Probably getting
Oh,
the moms are talking.
wow. And another vendetta coming down, doubling up on that single Miyuki worship in terms of value. This is this attack's going to be killing Ishitask most likely if there isn't any way out of this.
A
And
redirect would
that's
be great here if he could have like redirected
uh,
the Vendetta onto Nelliclin. Nelliclin has no conditions.
yeah, he just couldn't see him. And that's he flips the one for the perfect amount of damage to take out that Ishitask. Man, that card is giving a hell of a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's
So
that
at
Vendetta.
At the +4, it puts it on par with a strength over pain in terms of potential damage, with a better modifier and less investment.
Yep.
It's
And
just you.
that's also one
Wow.
point on onslaught for tape. If you
Yes, it
wouldn't mind,
is.
adding that onto there. Thank you.
So the hero advantage now tied up. Uh, it's going to be curious to see how Python reacts. He is now down in the damage game, having his Nellican at such a low and vulnerable spot, and not really having that many great defensive options into Hara outside of a redirect.
Shut up, Chris. All right. Well, chat works at least. Yeah, fell asleep from all the killing, right? Um,
But
so the
we,
point I mentioned before about tape or Pythoner getting the first and last activation, with Ishitas dying before activating, he will no longer get the last activation.
yeah, and it's going to be a lot harder for Pythoner to get even a single potential minion kill here. He can do so with Yami, but he's going to be losing a fair bit of his damage with her. And considering he can't really get Kichi into the lane without any condition removal, this can be a point going towards outflank for Tapeworm. And in that case, it's pretty much off the table.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if Pythoner doesn't get a point on outflank this round, I feel like onslaught would just happen before that, so it kind of just becomes an onslaught game with maybe a chance of hunting for power.
Mm-hmm. So you would need to see some kind of really, really high amounts of burst to pull that off. So now mulling over where to go, Pythoner here. He's got his disarm and slowed Kichi, who can try and get some damage on Habarat, though it'll be reduced. And his Yami, who is out of reach of minions and only in reach of the Habarat here. So he's gonna take that activation before Habarat leaves range, though. Which I think is probably the correct decision here.
Yeah, the thing with Yami, the thing with for Pythoner here is he actually has no way of killing both minions and
Mm-hmm.
uh and getting a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't think he has a way of even getting one minion and a lead.
Yeah, I don't believe so, and I don't think he runs any fast as well. So that's
So it looks like he's just gonna
a
go after
difficult
onslaught
spot.
here, just gonna give up on the outflank point this round and just start wailing on Habarat, which I think makes sense here.
Perhaps diving onto Sethru with this worship, maybe.
It's possible, or maybe he's gonna worship and hop into the dome. Oh, yep, he is going on Sethru. I was gonna say he could hop into the dome and then start just and then lead in the dome and just go after stuff like that. But no, he is going with this play, and then is leading, so he is gonna keep challenging for that outflank.
Yeah, I think to a degree he kind of has to, with um, kind of himself being at the disadvantage in terms of damage right now, and especially damage this turn after losing the terror and essentially losing his Kichi activation this turn. He has to at least maintain that potential win condition going into round 3 and see if he can play defensively into it.
I'm not even sure if it's more for the win condition or more that it forces Tape to respect it because now Tape has to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think maybe I don't know what's in his hand, obviously, but it might have made sense to go from deck there.
Oh, how about throwing a Doom onto Kichi here?
Kichi is not
As
having a good day here. Disarmed,
oh,
slowed,
flips a sinkhole on the mana burn. So he's not going to be doing anything this round.
disarmed, slowed, doomed. This is not a
Wow.
fun time for Kichi.
And so this does still leave Tape vulnerable to a redirect if he goes in aggressive with his Habarat here. Oh, but he's going on Kichi.
Yep. And
He's
actually,
trusting
this
Nelliquin to his Miyuki.
this also blocks Kichi from getting into the dome.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Oh,
he has some sort of like, nope, never mind, he can't cast anything.
and flips the Psychic Shield on the damage for a huge attack, dropping him down to 6 health. This is looking rough for Pythoner.
Yeah, both of those mages are in a rough spot here.
If Miyuki can land the finishing blows here on Nelliquin, it's just going to be a matter of time before Habarat hunts down that Kichi here.
Oh, nope, Hopper going back into the dome, so I guess it doesn't block Kichi's path into the dome. But does Kichi want to go into the dome now?
Leaves him as the one potentially getting blown up here. I actually don't know who is the more valuable target. I would have to assume Kichi, since there's less spells that can come out of him. He won't be able to play something like a Sinkhole coming into the next round, or a Chasm, like Malcolm will, but
I could
yeah, this
honestly,
is a difficult position.
I could see Kichi just running over into that cover hex on the back there and just,
Just hiding.
just hiding. Yeah.
Oh, but then the terror spawns right next to him.
There's no winning.
I don't think there's
Yeah,
anywhere to hide.
yeah. Pythoner is in a very rough spot here.
So it's interesting how, despite Outflank being on the table forces the brawl, but just like a dome brawl, if there's a kill condition on the table, that's what actually ends up happening pretty much every time. And
Oh,
right here, we're seeing it
he's
fully
going for it.
evidenced. Oh, goes for the lead. He's
So,
challenging Miyuki, telling her he can't kill him.
so the other thing this does is it means that Miyuki is gonna have to make the decision because Tape does not have leads anywhere. So
Oh no, but
Miyuki, Psychic Shield.
Psychic Shield on the Shattermind. That's that's one way to stop him from dying potentially this round.
But as long as Kichi doesn't die here, Miyuki can't lead in both the dome and the lane. So Pythoner is gonna
Mm-hmm.
get one of them. So he's either gonna get the Terror here or he's gonna get up to 2 on outflank. So this is actually a very very gutsy play by Pythoner. And honestly, I think with the position he was in, I think it's, he needs to make those gutsy plays.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
No.
I
With
like
the
it.
Psychic Shield stopping the Shattermind, Miyuki does have a chance still to kill Kichi if she wants to go in on him, but perhaps, oh, Nightmares Incarnate onto Minion. Surprised to
Interesting.
see that coming out now and not in response to something else later.
I'm surprised we didn't see that in response to the psychic shield, or did he not have mana to use it with any? Oh, he didn't have mana to use it with anyone in the dome. That's why.
So that Nightmares was coming out of Nelithim, which is
Oh, right, Pythoner cast. Yeah, yeah.
kind of odd. I'm not sure why he's doing that so early. And Nelithim taking the attack from Miyuki is going to go down
Yeah.
to
Oh, I know.
2 HP.
I think he did that because he wanted to do it before Miyuki had line of sight on him.
I see. And flipping a +2 on the skirmish, that's a dead Nelithim.
Was that all 3 actions?
I believe that was a move, skirmish, and attack.
So no leads in the lane or the dome. So Pythoner's going to win both the lane and the dome here.
Yeah, we're going to see how well he can try to protect this Kichi going into the next round.
Yeah, well, there's a really good spot for the Terra to move to that can slow 2 different heroes, but I guess the slow doesn't do a whole lot here.
Yeah, I think you have to find a way to get Kichi into safety with this terror play. It's either got to be in shutting down Sateru or finding a way to get Habarat out of here, but that's probably going to be a bit too high of an action investment.
What if the terror spawned over in lane 1, moved into the dome, attacked Habarat and frenzy Kichi, and then Kichi goes first and just blows up Habarat.
It's a move.
Blows up Habarat and then runs away.
The biggest risk is probably exhaustion in that case, right? And by losing...
Baha, a redirect to redirect the exhaustion onto the terror.
Man, this does leave kind of a really interesting spot here for Pythoner going into the round, though I think we're still at the end of activation. Oh, and no, we do see the 3 come out, meaning Yami is going to secure that lane and secure a second point onto outflank here. Getting a couple more minions down.
And gets a card for winning the lane, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And got some tower damage for what that's worth.
And the +3 with, or the 3 lead with the Kichi with the Unstoppable. Gonna mean that he gets this terror play. We'll see how he chooses to use it.
Wrong outsider.
I think he probably still might prefer the terror in this case.
Right there, that's a good spot. Nah, he's thinking. I think I kind of like the play I was talking about before, where he just goes attacks Habarat and frenzies Kichi, and then Kichi blows up Habarat and then runs away. That's the kind of play I like, I think.
Does, unfortunately, that play leaves you a little vulnerable to things like redirect or migraines to shut it down, or exhaustion. Like it's already 9 cards that play around it, which is maybe a little bit too scary. But like you were saying, you just have to make the gutsy plays at some point.
I mean, Pythoner could have those kinds of cards too, though.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at the same thing. Yeah, I think he's doing what I was talking about. I was gonna say the other thing you could do is you can do something similar over with Setharu, but I think a frenzy does a little bit better on Kichi than Yami, and it means he can. It means he can activate Kichi first, get the kill, and run away at the same time.
He can also throw and push Habarat into lane 1. He could step into the dome, grab Habarat, and then push him into lane 1 and kind of leave him without anything to do this coming round. No ability to get damage and no ability to influence that outflank win condition.
Yep.
Oh, but he's going to be moving in right there.
Attack. Yep.
Going for your play.
4 damage down to 7. And then a frenzy on Harbor or Kichi, whatever his name is.
Gotta have confidence that he can do it. Looks like it.
Yep. Woo! I did it right. I predicted.
Right, so we'll see now if Kichi can pull it off. I think this is kind of his make or break moment. Now, a redirect onto the Terror would be a huge swing into this game for either player. Kind of getting that bonus damage onto an enemy hero and the opportunity to stave off Onslaught just a little bit longer.
And by the way, if people do want to look at Vendetta a little bit more, let's just look at the card. Giacomo did post it into the Discord under card spoilers. So
yeah,
make sure
definitely
to check
go
that
and
out.
take a look at that beautiful art that it has there.
Yep. However, it has not been posted in Outflank has not been posted in card spoilers. You can blame Giacomo for that. But I'll pull that up on screen here again real quick if anyone didn't get a chance to see it before. This is the Outflank victory condition that they're playing with.
Extremely fitting card for the game with that terrified hiding Nelliclin that you have there. And so Ishitas coming in, he can use that Ishitas to help move his Kishi into a maybe more favorable position here as well, setting himself up to try and protect it. But that frenzy play still seems like it's probably your most optimal.
So we see Ishitosk and Shillavi respawn.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's
I'm
going to be a one
imagining
hero
Kichi's
advantage.
gonna. I'm imagining Kichi's gonna go ahead and start with the attack on Habarat here.
Yeah. So he does kind of have a good spot where he can attack and lead, or attack, skirmish, and lead, and then Ishitas can move him into position late in the round to kind of give him that breathing room right next to Nexus where nobody's going to be able to touch him really.
That's true. Or he could go run into the cover hex on lane 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean,
And
yeah, either
then,
way, he's.
yeah.
Or he could just move into the spot next to Nexus in lane 1 with his skirmish,
Yeah, I
taking an
think,
attack and a skirmish, so that he's still next to Ishitosk for the late move.
yeah, and I don't think any heroes can get to him there. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
is, in fact, if he goes into cover hex, Shillavi can still get to him. So I think that spot, the spot in lane 1 right adjacent to Ishitosk is
Mm-hmm.
probably the optimal spot. And there's the exhaustion you talked
And
about.
there's the exhaustion. Yeah, that's gonna bite.
Unless he has a redirect or something here.
Interestingly, he plays it in response to the worship.
Yep, there's the redirect.
Mm-hmm. So Habarat still has 2 mana. Try and negate any plays here if Tape has the cards. Nightmares Incarnate and another
He
Psychic Shield.
has an answer for everything. Jeez.
You can't be stopped. So that's probably a dead Habarat here. He's going to get this worship off to get the 2 predicts and take a look at what's coming up and hopefully secure this kill. He just needs to flip a 2 on the attack to kill this Habarat.
Yep. And then you see them go through the stack one by one and resolve it. And so if he finds a +2 here at a minimum, then the attack alone will kill.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, though, I'm not sure how I feel about the worship. I feel like attack skirmish would have done it because he does have +2 on the skirmish as well.
So he does have a fair amount of +0s with things like the sinkholes and the chasms and the soul screams. So I can see him being a little bit worried about flipping,
Right, but
I guess, some of those.
if he just goes attack skirmish, because both the attack and the skirmish get +2, so
Oh yeah, he does get the
that's a
+2s.
7 without any
Yeah,
modifiers. So he can go attack
that
skirmish without a worship and
he can
then
still
lead
get
or
a lead.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem kind of like the ideal play here.
Math is hard
Other
though.
thing potentially works here is this predict could help him see a 3 mana card that he can then
Right.
line up for Yami if he really needs it. Since we don't know if he has it, and he really should be aiming for it for this
Yeah.
outflank win condition.
Right. So he might have been hoping to see both a +2 and a 3 mana card.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably not on the same card.
I mean, if we want to print a 3 mana +2, I
I
think
mean,
I'm okay with it, guys.
I mean, there's 3 mana +3s, and those are ultimates. 3 mana
So
+2. Geez, what would the text have to be on that?
it's got to be a negative effect. You got to say when you draw this card, something's going to happen to you. Actually, that would be an interesting move. 3 mana +2, but you can't. You immediately discard it. It goes in the hand, you discard it. All from deck.
Yeah, would people run it? Probably.
Oh yeah.
Would it be just straight discard it, or would it be discard and draw a new one?
Actually, if you really want to punish him, you mana burn him.
Yeah, when you draw this card, place this card face up under your hero.
And so discarding a presence, not a +2, not a 3 mana. He doesn't want to see it. And he's going to make an attack, assuming that's got to be a +2 in this case.
I would really hope so. My guess is he left an ultimate on top, thinking like, "Ah, I really wanted to lead with it. That's why he took so long deciding."
Mm-hmm. And
Yep,
you're
I
exactly
called it
right.
right.
So that's going to be a dead Habarat. And he gets to draw a card here.
Oh, that's true. He might have been trying to.
Drawing that presence would have been kind of nice, though, right? If you get the presence onto Ishitosk.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
that's true.
think. I guess the thing is, presence doesn't actually help you defensively at all. So
Hmm. I guess that was
any
the case for the worship though. He can kind of potentially, if he sees a +2, he could kind of stack the draw a little bit,
Mhm.
which I guess could provide a little more value than skirmish.
Yeah, hunt for things like your sinkholes and your chasms to keep Kichi alive.
Yeah, I think here though he just skirmishes into that hex we talked about, and possibly even put some. Oh, yep, he did do damage on a
Oh, the
marked hero.
heal that
He,
is another big part of that worship.
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So this puts him in a better range in terms of taking damage from Miyuki and Cytherea. Especially if their attack rules a low modifier, then he might be out of range of a potential Shattermind or Nightmares Incarnate.
I
That only really applies to Miyuki, but
I think he skirmishes over into that hex we talked about, and oh, yep,
I
skirmish. Now
guess
the
you could
question
just
is, does he flip on terror or not? He does not.
incredibly bold.
I mean, he could have. Like terror wouldn't have been able to attack or skirmish onto him because he goes and he leaves the dome, so no line of sight.
Yeah, I just think you don't want to give Tape any potential opportunity. Like even
uh,
if you don't know what he can do with it, just don't let him have it because he can move it into a good position as a redirect target as well.
exactly. Or he could move it like closer to his heroes, and then potentially Tape has the option to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Python has any plans to win by it, so don't make it easier for Taped.
Mm-hmm. So, Yami standing in the middle of three heroes here might be Tape's most feasible path to victory.
Yeah. However, Yami is at 18 HP.
18 in one arm is going to be a tough hill to climb, but if he has the cards, there's not a ton of ways to play around it right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Things like Soul Scream or.
we could see a Miyuki worship followed by a Vendetta.
Mhm.
We haven't seen
And we
that
have
play
seen.
before, have we?
We have seen two Psychic Shields already out of Pythoner as well. So a big Soul Scream play can be on the table against Yami here. I don't
I
think it's all
mean,
said and done yet.
a big. You could see Shilovi move up next to Ishitusk and Kishi with a Soul Scream as well.
That's a great point.
A Dance of the Predator would also be pretty good there.
Oh, yeah, it's
Could dance your way next to Shilovi and then get an attack in, and that would pretty much do it. So Kishi
mhm.
looks a little bit safe, but there are definitely things that Tape could do.
Mhm.
And
We'll see where he
Tape does
decides
in
to take
fact have
this.
3 copies of Soul Scream on his Shilovi.
Yeah, he's got the damage if he needs it here. It's just a matter of if he drew correctly. He already had good cards going in with that exhaustion and nightmares. It's just Python had all the answers.
Also, interestingly, Tape has 3 copies of Release the Spirits, which has not too many uses for it in this game, but he apparently didn't have it when with Habrad there when Kichi went for the kill
Hmm.
when frenzied. That
Yeah,
would have been a good time for it though. But I will assume at this point that he does not have it in hand.
it's kind of almost a counterintuitive card to what he wants this game. He just wants to stack those conditions on people, and we are going to see Cytherea going here. Most likely going to be putting damage on Yami, I'd have to guess. think he has a great way to reach Kichi. So I don't know how much that positioning actually does for him. With Yami still being able to go in on Cytheru here, that position actually leaves him more vulnerable to Ishita's being able to worship and potentially finish the job on Cytheru here.
So I think what that actually does, the best thing that does for positioning is to prevent Gami from getting into that cover fix.
I see. Yeah.
However, then he goes and kills that minion there, which puts a nice little pocket for Yami to be in that Shillavi can't get to her.
hmm
So think I think that was the wrong minion to kill.
Yeah, yeah. I think you kill the one probably on the control token or the one adjacent to Cytheru, probably the one adjacent to Cytheru here, and open up a potential avenue for people to get in.
Right, because now Yami can worship onto Sethru and go right in that little hole that was just created,
hmm
and then Yami Yami can even skirmish kill a minion and get an attack on Sethru, and then uh, get a fair
And
amount of
still
damage on
maintain that
Sethru.
wall. Yeah, you can get
And
the triple flip and the minion kill. It's a strong play for Yami, and she's remained at full health. She didn't take any damage from Sethru that round.
yeah, and here it is. So, what do you think about that decision from Tape last round to get the kill on Nelaquin, but
hmm
give up both the lane and the dome in the process?
Yeah, it feels like a bit of an investment that was probably a little bit too high, right? He taking the dome there would have been a lot more helpful towards pushing his win condition, right? Says he's going to get the kill on Nelklin eventually, anyways, and I don't think he's actually denying too many routes of response. Ooh, yeah,
Flipped a
hate to see
plus
it.
three on the minion.
Yeah.
That was Neil before me too, which would have been a great card for him here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not,
I mean,
not
getting
near.
here off the board is generally a very good thing. But it put him in a rough spot with by losing both of them. I think he
Oh,
possibly could have. Oh, and the Soul Scream.
but it's like a should answer.
I mean, it might not block all of it, depending on what he flips. Ah, it blocked
Mm.
all of it. um,
So Pharaoh is in range of Ishitask, who can worship, attack, and skirmish on him and try and secure that kill.
absolutely.
I almost wonder if you don't take Kichi with you.
Hey Zach, welcome to the Skytear community. It's a lot of fun. You should if you haven't yet, you should definitely join the Discord. If somebody would post a link to the Discord in the chat.
Oh yeah.
And somebody, if you're interested in learning, someone can definitely teach you there. But
hmm
welcome to Skytear.
So Miyuki's going to be moving herself, taking that ideal spot away from Ishitask. So
Yeah.
he does still have the
And
move
then kills a minion,
skirmish.
giving Ishitask another spot.
Oh no! kill, kill the far minion, or kill the. Oh no!
But actually, Tape is in a difficult position
Oh,
here
and
where he has.
flips an ultimate on the minion kill.
Yeah, he's actually in a very difficult position here though, where he has to defend against both outflank and onslaught.
hmm
I think going back to that play at the end of round two where he killed Nelaquin, I think if he maybe gets a little bit of damage on and then wins the dome, he
hmm
can then probably use the Terror to take out Nelaquin, and it puts him in a similar position, except that it prevents Pythoner from getting that Terror activation as well.
Yeah, exactly. Not having that opportunity to force the response out of Habarat would have meant a lot for him there.
Yeah, but it might have been. I'm not sure if he. I don't remember where Nelaquin was at, and if he would have been able to guarantee the kill with the Terror, which is probably why he didn't do
Hmm.
that.
So I think here you see Shalavi take out both of these minions and potentially take a win on outflank this round. And because Ishitask would have to flip 2+2s to take out Cytheru here. So the odds are not exactly in his favor, especially with Kichi and Yami having no mana. He has no more damage out of hand. So we
Now,
can see this going another round.
the thing here though is, what does Tape do about Kichi? Because what does Python do about Kichi? Because if he worships and moves Kichi with him, that exposes Kichi to Shillavi, which
Yeah,
might
I
be
think
just what Tape is doing. Do you think it maybe would
yeah,
just make sense to leave Kichi in that little spot there and just not have Kichi contribute anywhere?
yeah. So the dilemma, right, is that if you bring Kichi, now Kichi can die, but if you don't bring Kichi, then you're going to lose this. You're not going to get outflank this round. It's a difficult position to be in. I think you have to give up outflank this round.
Ooh,
And
what if he worships and moves Kishi over into the lane, and then he moves moves Ishitas next to Shillavi to slow Shillavi.
that's not a bad idea. Yeah. So would he have a pillar in range? Yes, he would. He placed him in the dome.
So he's removing the pillar there.
No, I really do think you just give up outflank this round and go in for Cythera and try and because you have the first activation, you have a Yami. You'll have many chances to try and secure that final kill on Cythera.
Uh, I'm
Oh,
just
and a
gonna put.
presence. That'll make things a little bit more interesting. He gets the predict, so he can try and hunt for those +2s he needs to get the damage. If he doesn't see him, he can go for a lead instead.
Yeah, so elects to leave Kichi back.
It's probably the right decision, right? Just
Yeah. Now
don't give him the chance.
Shillavi has a Soul Scream. Could potentially do a lot of damage to
Perfect for now.
Kichi and win the dome, and then can finish him off with the tear.
Yeah. I think that risk of Shelby finding a way is definitely here, but
Of
did
course,
he
for
kill
that
a
to
white
happen,
card?
Sethru needs to both survive this attack, and Tapeworm needs to make sure he doesn't lose the lane.
Mm-hmm. As that will resolve before terror here.
Correct. It's similar to what we were talking about before. We were saying outflank resolves before Skytear Master.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's outflank resolves before the Terror gets to activate to get the onslaught kill.
So it looks like he did find 1+2 here, but ups the lead with the other card that he had, presumably a 3. With the presence, he has an advantage in the lane if Shalabi doesn't take out any minions, and that's going to be an outflank win. So Shalabi, even if she
So
has the soul, she can't afford to abandon her spot.
2, 3, 6. It's 8 to 6 right now, I believe, in the lane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
looks good.
Shillavi would need to, yeah. I don't think he can afford to go after Kichi here, unless he thinks he can somehow kill Kichi with spells. A Dance of the
So,
Predator would do it.
mm-hmm.
I think that's about it, though.
Yeah, if he has it, then he probably has to go for it. Otherwise, he's most likely gonna have to kill these minions.
I think Dance of the Predator is the only thing you could have here.
I guess the only alternative is a really lucky Soul Scream flip.
I don't know why I typed that. Yes, Eric. Ishitas died and then came back. There's 2 kills. I don't know why I typed that. But yes, 2 kills each. Kichi got frenzied from the terror and blew up Habra, and then went and hid in the corner there. And then Ishitas worshipped into the lane and elected not to bring Kichi there. So even though Shillavi has the damage possible to kill Kichi, can't really get to him. And Pythoner has 2 points on outflank, and is winning in the lane. So Tape in a very rough spot here.
So he does go for the minions. He goes for the move, shapeshift, and attack. He's going to clear those out and secure outflank for the round.
Yeah.
Kind of push it one more turn, but that Cythero at 2 health and Python are having the first activation. Yami's going to be free to just go as hard as she wants on him.
Yeah.
I don't know
Not
how many
sure what
tools.
not sure how many things Tape could have to save Sethruth.
Mm-hmm.
I
With Kichi
think
being as safe as she is,
I
it might be the
think
game of the drag.
I think Tape made some questionable decisions on his choices of minions to kill that round. I don't think it was wrong to kill
Yeah.
minions. I think he
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess the reason for going for the two he did was it allowed Seth or Shillavi to go kill those two like that. But Shillavi could
It
have still
left him
moved
so
one more
much more
hex with the
vulnerable.
move. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It just opens up too many opportunities for Pythoner here to get in with his heroes. And while Kichi being the one to protect seemed like the obvious play going into the rounds, Theru and pretty much every mage is pretty much always vulnerable, right? Especially going to turn 3 when things like Soul Scream are on the table. You can't really afford to leave them undefended, even when they're close to full health, like Theru was.
Yeah. And he had to play to make sure he got rid of every single minion there, because if Pythoner did have like Nightmares Incarnate to blow up that last minion, he would have lost there.
Yeah, yeah. So he was out of
So
mana.
uh yeah, I guess he could have had a Mind Palace. I don't know. uh, no, he didn't have the mana for those things there. But yeah, he if he had some way to get that other minion, like he had to play safely. He didn't want to do that. So I mean, I guess his choice was to play to protect Sethru or to protect Outflank. He was caught
Yeah.
between a rock and a hard place.
So going into this round, there is the slightest chance that Ster can live for an activation. Uh, but it's hinged on.
Cage
No,
Soul will save Sethru, except that Sethru just
he
led with
led with
Cage
it.
Soul. He just led
Yeah.
with it. Oh,
Wow. You hate to see it.
he did just shuffle. Do we know if he saw Dance of the Predator?
I don't know if I've seen it. And so he's going to be going into this round. No potential draws of Cage Soul. Man, it's a hard spot to be in. That would have been the card to swing things, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he had a. I don't know if he's seen Dance of the Predator or not, but he does have 6 cards in hand. I don't recall seeing it, so it's possible he has
Mm-hmm.
Dance of the Predator in hand here.
He has to find a way to get Ster to live for one round.
Yeah.
And
If he had it
now,
last round, that was the game. That was what he needed.
mm-hmm. So Nelliclin and Habarat respawning. We'll see if they even get a chance to activate.
And we're going into round 4 here. I'm assuming the first activation goes to Yami here.
I would hope so. She has the most opportunities.
Yeah, I could potentially see Nelliclin, move skirmish in a range, and then if he has a lot of spells, potentially do stuff. But I think Yami makes the most sense.
Yeah. The other option, I guess, is Ishita's because he's adjacent, so she can attack and skirmish.
Actually, if he was going to go with
But I don't
Nelliclin,
see.
if he was going to go with Nelliclin, he probably would have positioned Nelliclin a little differently.
Mm-hmm. And I guess if I'm Pythoner here, I'm asking myself, what do I need to play around? What do I need to look for? And while Yellow has a lot of great defensive tools and things like Migraine and Redirect, they do not have the ways to really stop these melee attacks, especially out of someone like Yami. So we're going to see a Release the Spirits come down. in response to the worship, denying the mark.
Gonna spin
This
it
could
around a little
actually be
bit.
pretty good because it might force Yami to oh
Oh, there it
oh
is.
and still flips. Yeah, we see how little that release of spirits was going to get done this round, and there's the damage onto Cytherea for onslaught. So Pythoner now.
He's talking about that cage soul right now.
That puts
Yeah,
Python at 3 wins, tying Giacomo's record.
she had Last Judgment in hand, so he was
Oh, wow. I guess that was another card he would have loved to see that.
Yeah, although it wouldn't have been
Widespread,
enough.
huh?
That alone wouldn't have been enough to kill
Mm-hmm.
Kichi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Well, speaking of what they're talking about, why don't we go hear what they're talking about?
That's a great idea.
I'm so great at segues.
That would have really saved you.
Yeah, it was a bad decision, without question. Without question. I was so ready to cast this last turn that I was like, well, I can't lead with that one. But then clearly I should have rethought my stance on that. But
out of curiosity, did you have Dance the Predator?
I just drew it now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about last round, if you had that with Shilby, that was game.
I know. There was a part of me, right, that was going to stage her over there just to but the math worked out where I couldn't risk her leaving. I needed to get to tie that lane or win it. And hoping to draw that next turn, but yeah, the presence really messed that up because without the presence, Shilby comes over, kills one minion, and then hops into the dome, and I get the bear, and it's GG. But
yeah,
the presence really sealed the deal there, and I just didn't have enough protection to keep Sethru alive.
Yeah. We were also talking about the positioning or with Sethru and how you blew up the minions next to Sethru and kept giving spots for Pythoner to put heroes next to him.
Sure.
I mean, I guess it was always the spot to the top there.
I needed to keep 2 minions for Shilby to stand next to, and so I was trying to clear away.
Right. No, that was definitely a thing. So you were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, well, do I try and go for to make sure I get all the minions, or do I try and protect Sethru?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew if I didn't kill minions, I was going to lose the lane. Right?
Yeah.
Like I had no tools in my toolbox I didn't draw any wind blasts or anything. So I couldn't turn that lane without just attack actions, right? And so I was like, well, I have to just do this and pray. And then of course I made the grave error of not holding on to Cage Soul. Like I said, you get tunnel vision on your plan, and then I didn't readjust accordingly. So that's on me. Because I think if I end up Cage Souling Sethru here, I'm in a decent position to put the pressure on Kichi, but it's still pretty far.
I mean, especially with Dance the Predator in hand.
Well, yeah, because then Shilby can just like move, shapeshift, dance, and
I think if you've got all 3 of those in your hand, or I guess maybe you would have led with Last Judgment.
I would have had to lead with
that. If you led with Last Judgment, then you have Cage Soul and Dance.
Yeah. I was gonna say if you could have somehow led from deck and magically gotten a 3, if you were able to do that, this entire hand just completely destroys me, and I have nothing to do.
And I have a Shatter Mind in hand too. Clear Mind if to get an attack out. The Release of Spirits unfortunately just did nothing for me all game.
Yeah.
And this was a joke, by the way. Like I know this doesn't actually stop anything, but it's the only pseudo answer I had. It's not an answer. So. But that was the match. It was really back and forth. I felt like I was ahead. After that second kill, and I just couldn't. That little interaction on the stack between Habrat and Kishi was the name of the game right there, right?
Yeah, that was. I was so saved by the fact that I had exactly what I needed, because I was like, before you had what was it that you used?
Exhaustion.
The exhaustion. Before that, I was looking at my hand. I was like, huh. I had Kichi's ultimate and I had Soul Scream, and I was like, how do I use these to like best. And then I realized I don't need that. I don't
Yeah.
need those because it's
Which
like
is funny.
I've
So
got
if I
frenzy.
activate and release a spirit to you, which was the other option I had, right? Was just taking the frenzy away. Then you probably just do that, right? You probably just unleash the spells on me.
Actually, if you
I
had
don't
released the spirits,
think-
why did you not after I cast redirect? Why didn't you just release?
Well, because after you did the exhaustion, I wanted to get damage on you with the nightmares.
Well,
Because if you drop down to 4 or 5, then I can downtown you with Sethu's ultimate, and I win the game.
but if you
yeah, that makes sense.
I was just thinking, and maybe this is just like not knowing what's in my hand too, but like
Yeah.
if you use the release, it suddenly gets me a lot harder for me to actually kill Habarat, and then I'm in a really bad spot because Habarat just comes up and kills.
Sure, but you also, I don't think I had a psychic shield at that point. It's possible. I don't remember the hand specifically.
So at that point, the only cards I had to damage with were Soul Scream and Kichi's Ultimate, and I couldn't cast them anymore because I'd already redirected.
Yeah, but again,
so
he didn't know it was in your
if
hand.
You get rid of the
sure,
if you get rid of the frenzy.
But you have a Shatter Mind, it probably still helps. So,
I didn't have a Shatter Mind because I wasn't running any. But
I don't know that.
You don't. that is true. I can definitely understand.
I mean, you look at that was a very complicated thing. It's totally possible that the right answer would have been there's less answers to release the spirits.
That was
but
like
I want to get the disarm on you to guarantee that he would survive, right? If you're disarmed and you don't have damage out of hand, now I'm sitting pretty, right? Like you're not doing that much damage to Habarat, and he can live to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose to be fair as well, with the predict, I ended up finding the plus. Was it +2 at least?
2.
So there was.
It was Nelkun's ultimate.
No. Oh, was it? I thought that
with
was
the predict.
No, that's a different thing.
Oh yeah. No, it was. It was Nelkun's ultimate. You're right. I was like, oh,
because you kept the frenzy.
Yeah, so
right.
Even without the frenzy, I probably could have killed with a skirmish anyway, and then I would have gained one more. Like that was one of the things I realized there is.
Well, that's why I wanted you to be
disarmed. I realized after I killed him that I should have left the was presence or whatever the +1 on top of Nelkun's ultimate because that way I don't kill with the attack. I was going to want to end up right there with the skirmish anyway. And so if I don't kill him with the attack and get to do damage with the skirmish, I gain an extra life.
Forgot to makes it even worse for me. Yeah. Once you started gaining life, that Habarat going down was like, oh no, my options to killing Kichi just went.
Yeah. That was the thing. At the end of the previous round, I was like, oh, I'm in a really hard spot here. You're ahead 1 on kills, and my Kichi is almost dead, and you've got a Habarat right there. And I was like, hold up a second. I can just kill Habarat, and then your other heroes are too far away to even at best Shillavi gets within sight of Kichi. And I had the psychic shield, so it's like, okay, well, even if you do that, I'm still, you'd still have to have a lot.
How much I hate Psychic Shield? I told you that.
Yeah, it's a dumb. We were actually the other thing we were talking about too, but I think that 1 HP Kichi gain made a big difference. There was, Shillavi could have gotten adjacent to Kichi while still being in the dome and used like a Soul Scream if you had that. But at that by Kichi gaining that 1 HP, it meant you needed a +3 on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Also, you didn't have it.
I did not have it. No.
Yeah, I suppose in light of that, it's possible that if I'm not gaining the life, maybe it would have made more sense to go here. But my thought here was that with Nelklin here, depending on if I was thinking, depending on it's like, oh, maybe if he went with Shillavi first, I could Ixataxi into the dome, and maybe I'd be safe enough with Kichi, and then I could guarantee win the dome, and then use the dome to kill Setheru.
And from a technical standpoint, on my side, this would have been better as a time glitch than Clear Minds.
Actually, one play I was talking about. Let me make myself a player so that way you can actually see my hand. I'm gonna rotate around this way so it's the same view the viewers had the whole time. But we were talking about. I mentioned you could have taxi Kichi over with Ishitask, and then moved Ishitask adjacent to Shillavi, so Shillavi was slow, so couldn't get to Kichi, and also that would have made it difficult for you to get to the 2 minions.
That's a good point. I was thinking of something like that. I missed the part where that would make Shillovy slow. That I could move like that and make Shillovy slow. I thought about it for like a fraction of a second and discarded the idea because I was like, oh, that's putting Kichi in too much danger. Part of the problem with that is it leaves him open to like, if there was a
that's
something
red.
that
Never
Zero
mind.
could cast to then just finish off. I guess he was at enough life that would have been hard to do.
And that's why it was difficult for me. Like I would have preferred Shillovy to be closer to the minions, but I needed to spawn her where she could possibly, get down here and help. Depending on where you went, but it's
Yeah. So I suppose that would have been an interesting with Ixotosk. I worship, move, presence, and lead.
But I do have a way. I have release of spirits, so everyone's far away from her. Yeah, it would have been interesting. I have ways around it if I needed to.
Yeah. I just felt. Yeah, I felt like
you wouldn't bring him. He's safe over there. Like
I was gonna say it's like that would be a way like if killing Cytheru is going to be really unreasonable.
Which
well, yeah. If I somehow knew that if you had held on to it and I knew that you had it,
which I guess you could have
strongly suspected. I could have strongly suspected that you would have had it. Then I could have. Then that would have made sense. I think because if I think I can't kill Cytheru, I think the best option is for me to do everything I can
to win that lane.
To win the lane, and knowing that Shillovy can just come and kill 2 minions and I lose the lane.
But he
I think getting Ixotosk in the way, getting an extra Kichie in there to contribute extra to the lane as well would have been the way to go. But this Vendetta really.
This Vendetta did a lot of work that game. And
I combined
Eric,
that with Miyuki, it's just
it's gross.
Yeah.
Especially
and Eric,
if you're playing against blue. Miyuki versus blue with Vendetta just sounds like fun.
Gross. Well, with the exhaustion, right? If they have the mark and slow from a previous turn, you can turn the slow into a disarm and then worship on them again. Now they have 3, maybe even 4 from their shapeshift, and now it's +8 damage for 1 mana. I will take 3, please.
Yeah, and it's a +1. So actually, Eric actually asked in the chat, Pythoner, he was curious your opinions on Vendetta.
It seems like a pretty strong. So we're getting a lot of new condition cards. So it seems really strong. The whole condition thing, I think, is just going to get like weird from the perspective of there's a lot of, I think, very strong cards that deal with conditions, and then there's release that just says Release is just so strong.
And you didn't hear us play, but every time I played this card, I was like, "Do you have release?"
I made perhaps the mistake of the way I constructed my deck. Miyuki was the one who had both release and exhaustion, which I hadn't thought about the fact that the spoiler card was not unlikely to be condition based. Maybe I really wanted those on a hero that I was more likely to draft. But
I will say, this is easier to build around when you have the other cards in the set. It's a little.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, like I feel like just sticking them on Miyuki is just like that's a great synergy already.
It's good value. Even if you cast it with her, right? She'll take the 4 attack. I mean, she becomes a 6+ hero at that point,
Yeah, and actually, one thing we were talking about with Vendetta too was you could cast it. You could cast it targeting one hero and then attack a different hero.
You can. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, so like honestly, at this point, Vendetta is like if you've got a Miyuki, Vendetta can like probably most of the time be essentially.
It's like an old frenzy.
I was gonna say, well, it's like it's like you take. Let's see, what's the card I'm thinking of? If you take
Brutal Precision.
It's like Burning Rage. If Burning Rage cost 1 mana and was a +1 instead of a 2 mana +0. Because
red, it's usually bare minimum going to be a Brutal Precision, right? 1 mana and +2 attack. Because you're marking people, right?
Exactly. But like, again, with Miyuki, I think it's pretty common you're going to be able to get that 4. And at that point, it's equivalent to a Frenzy, except you don't have to skirmish. It's kind of combining it all into one, so it's better against armor if you don't have mages. So, yeah.
And I think the showcase with like a deck like Tape has here, where it's just a splash of Miyuki. Once we have the full set, and you have cards like When Faith Fails, so
Yeah,
you can maintain that turn over turn,
it's gross.
always have Vendetta online, counter release, like all of those turn out to be really, really valuable.
That's the one card you want to run with it, is because if they release a spirit, you counter with When Faith Falls, and you're like, everyone is sad.
I'm definitely thinking that like some kind of like
Oh, and you draw a card, so bonus.
yellow red deck is probably going to be pretty strong here because you get to run release, you get to run stuff like Vendetta, some of the other strong condition stuff. You potentially run the acrobatics.
Yeah.
Sounds like so much fun. But you know, and then you also can run some of the yellow heroes. I think yellow right now is very strong.
Really?
I don't run Psychic Shield anymore, except for the 6 copies we ran today.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah, it's just like.
Wasn't RG saying that the other day? No one runs that anymore.
I think you still have to run it because like yellow is very good, and like it's like yellow is still good enough. I think we have enough cards that are like you're not always going to have Psychic Shield, and when you don't, it's just so devastating because on Ashen Pass, the number of games I had on Ashen Pass where I was playing Akuti, Satheru, Shafathi, and the number of games I had were round 1, I maybe do a little bit of damage, win the dome, do like 6-7 damage to a hero, go first the next round with like Shafathi, do another 6-7 damage, use the flux, cast Soul Scream, and now a hero's dead. Hero dead first activation of round 2, and then it kind of just snowballs from there of like now they don't get to kill my heroes, I can start cleaning up their heroes because I still have Satheru to deal a lot of damage. That just felt very strong, and I think a lot of the cards here just make me even more excited to do some of that with like especially I had a variation of that deck where I had Miyuki instead of Akuti, and I ran Miyuki, Kichie, Satheru. And so I definitely could see that kind of version of a deck being even better with Vendetta. The big problem with that version of the deck is no presence. So it depends on what victory conditions end up being, and if like Skytear Master is still a thing. Because round 1 presence, or if like presence gets banned or something like that, which I would not mind. Because on Ashen Pass especially, and in any game with like Skytear Master, presence is just you like have to be running it.
For sure. I mean, I have it on one of my heroes here. I just didn't bring it. Like.
Yeah, it was like less important in this game because
for sure.
Like you want to win the outsider, but it's like it's not going to be the focus.
Yeah.
And in the lane, if you can kill enough minions, if you can kill enough heroes, it doesn't really matter as much. It was like helpful there for me forcing you to deal with it, but it was not like that wasn't like the game winning thing. Whereas if you're the only one with presence and you're just playing a presence like every round in the dome, and it's like you literally can't win the dome. It's like
right, it's gross.
Yeah. Exactly, and so that's the problem I have with like Skytear Master right now is I wouldn't mind Skytear Master, I think, if not for presence. And so that was the big problem, and the reason I didn't go with the Miyuki version of the deck on Ashen Pass, because the Miyuki version of the deck, I think I liked in some ways I liked it a lot more because I got to use Miyuki to slow or disarm, keep them from doing a lot of damage. Akuti is nice because you get the armor, but with Miyuki plus Kichie, you're keeping them from dealing damage in the first place. Plus, Kichie is predicting, like, some of the times I tried that deck, I was predicting 3 or 4 consistently. And when you're predicting 3 or 4, all of a sudden you're always hitting +2s, even in your deck that's got like an average 1.3, 1.5 modifier. When suddenly you're predicting 4, it's like you're pretty much always hitting +2s, and now your damage is really starting to stack up. Plus the fact that you're using Miyuki to keep them from doing damage, and you can really get ahead that way. It's just it doesn't work when they're always going to win the outsider because of presence.
So a couple quick things on the game. First of all, Pythoner, I really loved your use of the terror that round, mostly because it was exactly what I predicted.
Like sometimes.
Back to you, Ryan.
But I think the other point that we were really talking about during the game, I think it was a real, probably the biggest decision of the game looking back on it. At the end of round 2, Tape, when you killed Nelik, you used your activation to kill Nelikland and gave up both the lane and the dome at the same time.
Yeah.
It was very. I don't know if it was the right or the wrong decision at all, but it was a very interesting decision that I felt was very impactful on the game, because I don't know if you would have had the damage or not, but if you had chose to just win the dome, if you could have gotten the kill with the terror.
I could not have won the dome. I had all 1 mana cards in hand, I think, at the time, and so I couldn't kill Kichi. I didn't have enough bullets in the gun to kill Kichi. Well, I tried, right? He cast Psychic Shield, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
And so
well,
I
a
had
few
the option,
times.
I think I could cast Shattermind, right? And so he Psychic Shielded. I had a Nightmares Incarnate in hand, so I was planning on just killing Kichi outright right there, but that Psychic Shield saved him. Twice, in fact. So I think it was twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throughout the game, I had 2 Psychic Shields that I cast to keep Kichi alive.
So after that
happened,
happened,
the perfect times.
The Kichi that just wouldn't die.
Yeah, because it was actually probably worked out a little better in my favor, because original plan was to have Miyuki move to here, and she could see both Nelikland and Kichi, and I was going to try to do, attack and then cast spells and whatnot to try to kill both of them, or at least get them both down really low. But she would have been even it would have been even worse for me, I think. So I did the next best thing I could do to salvage that activation after burning the mana over there. So yeah,
Gotcha.
There was obviously some misplays here and there, but it was fun overall. So.
That makes a lot of sense. If you only had ones in hand, that makes a lot of sense.
Again, I had the Nightmares, I think, so I could have led with that, but I really needed that to seal the double kill, so I couldn't lead with it. I couldn't make that choice.
Right.
And I figured the bear wasn't necessarily going to kill me, and I thought I had the outs with Habarat with both the Psychic Shield and the Exhaustion. And so I felt confident going into that, but he had every answer that he needed, so.
That whole play with the terrorist that goes and gives him frenzy and stuff, and then Matei's was like, but then Tape could have exhaustion, and I'm like, yeah, but what if Pythoner has a redirect? Like, we literally predicted everything that happened.
You literally just predict what happened.
What you're saying is we're very predictable players. All right, gentlemen, I have to go do Mother's Day festivities, so I wish you all a good day and a good time. So thanks, Pythoner. It's fun.
Thanks for the game. Congratulations, Pythoner, on tying Giacomo's record. You are officially on fire.
Thanks.
And then that means next week you will be playing against Bon on the Ashen Pass map with Zargul and RG doing commentary. And you have officially had... what is with you?
Green heroes.
Yeah.
Literally, all of my green heroes are dying here. I have what?
We're going to talk about Tlakali next round.
Tlakali, Antaka, and Akla are the only green heroes left. Every other green hero is dead. And no non-green heroes are dead.
Is this genocide?
So what I'm hearing is people are going to propose that I play Nantaka or Tlakali next week or something, and then I'm going to bring the rest of the green heroes. They're all going to die, and then I won't have to worry about playing green again.
Exactly. There you go. Good plan. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching and listening. We'll be back next week with a new episode, Skytear Sunday, and happy Mother's Day, everyone.